let's kick on. So, welcome to the Carl Watts Daily Live, and this is episode number 4. Now, the whole aim of the Daily Lives is to give you tips that you can take straight onto the course. These aren't big technical changes or anything like that. This is about really getting insight into, if you like, the professional game, whether it's through tour caddies or tour players or even tips that other amateurs have passed on that have really worked. So today I've had a question come through from Reese Hanger, who plays off 18 handicap. Doesn't play very often, but he is off to play with some of his friends over a 3-day trip coming up soon. So he's diligently getting himself ready for that game. Now, one of the question he's asked actually is, how do you putt on fast greens? So what do you do differently when the greens are firm and when it's obviously so hot at the moment, which is obviously what happens a lot this time of year. Now, there's a couple of focus points I'm going to help you with here, just to make you understand how to actually what to do when putting on the fast greens. Now, one of the key things is there's a few key points for when you are you're trying to do this. So number one is you can pick a spot. Now, it's a very simple way of handling it, but it takes a bit of trust. So if the hole is here and you are here, and say this is 20 feet, and what I would suggest you do is that you know the distance. So if you know it's 20 feet, you may have walked to the hole just to have a look at the line, know that it's pretty much 20 feet. Now, if the greens are that quick and you feel that actually this is behaving more like a 10-foot putt, then you can actually pick a spot here and really trust that and go with it. That's a very simple way to be able to do it, but it's also very, very effective. I'm a bit of a fan of this way of putting on any type of green, really. Now, secondly, what you can do is you'll see, especially this week at the US Open, you'll see a lot of players where they will putt off the toe of the putter when the greens, especially when the greens get quicker. So what I mean by that is, if you're now putting, say, from down here, and this is the putter going into the ball, you would address the putter more off the toe and hit it more off the toe of the putter. Now, why is that so helpful? Because what it actually does is it deadens the roll, and you don't actually get more of a roll. When you hit it out the middle of the putter, you get more topspin. Whereas here, what you do is you get it off the toe and it reduces the speed. Again, another good way of putting on fast, quick, firm greens, which obviously this time of year with the summer here you'll be faced with. Now, the third one is always, this is something I always relate to within any part of the game, is stay light, stay soft, stay soft in the hands. Now, this is whether it's putting, whether it's chipping, whether it's the long game, but the softer you can stay, the better. It takes out tension. You've got more chance of maybe getting a little bit more feel, if that's your type of focus when you're judging distances. Now, for me, there's an alternative. So there we've spoken about picking a spot. If it's an actual 20-foot putt, we can make it 10 feet. You've now got to trust that and treat it like a 10-foot putt. Hit it off the toe, which is very useful, and light hands. Now, what I'm a big fan of when to do with distance control in putting is actually knowing your stroke length. So some people focus on feel. I'm a big fan of working out your stroke length. So when I'm teaching players, especially with their putting, I know, for instance, that on an average speed of green, if they take the putter back a foot back to a foot through, the ball will travel about 10 feet. Now, that's very helpful because it gives something to focus on, something tangible to relate to. Now, if they are then putting on, say they're faced with a 10-foot putt, so if I take this now, so now let's say this putt is 10 feet, and they are here, and let's say it's a quick green, which is what this is all about, and let's say we need to treat it like a 5-foot putt. Well, they immediately know they've got a reference to do with their stroke length, which is a foot back, foot through for 10 feet, and they can actually reduce it down to, say, 6 inches back, 6 inches through, and be confident that will get there because they've worked out that this 10-foot putt is behaving like a 5-foot putt. Now, again, I'm a bit more of a fan of the stroke length putting method, which I have a system for, rather than feel, especially for players who don't have an awful lot of time to practice, which most amateurs don't. So if you are reliant on feel, more often than not, you are going to need time to practice. So this, for me, the stroke length element actually works really, really well. So two elements there. One is go more feel, one is go more stroke length. It's your choice. You know, the stroke length won't be for everyone, and feel is generally where most people tend to putt from, but only because they perhaps have not heard of the stroke length system or method. So test it out, trial it, see how you get on with it, and you know, give some feedback when you go onto the Facebook community. When you go onto YouTube, you can always put a comment and just say, Carl, yeah, I tried this, actually it was really interesting, found it really helpful, or it wasn't for me, for instance. So having the feedback would be very, very helpful. So any questions, as always, to do with any part of your game, if you're playing this weekend, by all means, take a couple of notes, come back, ask me a question, and when I'm doing these lives, I'll do my very best to answer that for you. So I hope you've enjoyed this daily live. Again, remember, it's just quick insights into how we can improve your game, something you can take straight onto the course that is of value to your game and helps you to save that one or two shots, which then normally has a knock-on effect because your confidence keeps building. So if you found this useful, and again, I've just seen a few more that have just signed on, so I'll just do a little bit of a recap for what we went through here. So it was all about, in essence, how do you putt on quick greens. We spoke about the feel method compared to the stroke length method. If you're a feel putter, what you'll tend to do is, if I just go here, just as a recap, if you have a 20-foot putt and it's a quick green, what you can do is you can stand there and go, okay, I'm going to pick a spot at 10 feet and be quite specific with the actual distances. Tell yourself it's 20 feet, I'm now going to hit this 10 feet. So you need that sort of specific in there. The second element is, again, on quick greens, is if you're on a quick green, when you're hitting the putt, hit it off the toe of the putter. That'll deaden the roll on the ball. You won't get that top spin roll, which again is another way of helping. The other one is to keep very light hands. Now that's very much feel based, which is great, which most players will tend to use. I'm a big fan of more stroke length, which again for me is when I'm teaching players, I basically have a system where when they take the putter back a foot back and go through a foot, that gets the ball to travel 10 feet in distance on a normal speed of green. Now that's very useful because it creates a very tangible checkpoint for an amateur who is not playing very often to be able to relate to, which is very, very key. And so feel versus stroke length, I'm a big fan of stroke length and having a bit more of a process and a system to follow. Feel, again, needs a lot more practice. Good for the pros out there that are spending an awful lot of time practicing, but probably not great for the once-a-week player and who probably then takes 9 holes to get warmed up with the feel. So I hope you've enjoyed that tip. If you've got any questions, as I mentioned a little earlier, by all means let me know. I'll try and answer whatever questions come my way in this daily live. Again, the whole point of this is to help you with really simple reminders and simple tips you can take straight onto the course. So one last thing, if you are interested in wanting to really improve your chipping, if you go to carlwattsgolf.com, the secret chipping system, you will find a free 7-day, 5-minute-a-day chipping system that will, I promise you, transform your ability to chip effectively, consistently, and build your confidence. It's free. Just go in there. You'll have to sign up for it, but you will find it incredibly, incredibly helpful. And go on to Carl Watts Golf, the YouTube channel, and you're going to find on there, again, a lot of videos that will help you with all the different parts of the game. So, hope you found that useful, and like I always say, remember, you're only one tip away. See you at the next Daily Live.